Communication. Communication.
I feel like we need a drum roll.
Because of you, the whole entire trajectory of our future has changed.
I'm a picky eater. I don't like chocolate, guys.
And
certain veggies. Okay.
Hey guys, welcome to Honey Hearts. I'm Sandra.
And I'm V.
And today we have a few juicy stories for you, related to a few social interactions that we might come across in our daily lives.
Oh.
And guess what, V?
What?
We got our first DM story from a listener.
Yeah!
So we're gonna check that out at the end, so stay tuned till the very end. Are you ready for our first story?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm buckled in. I'm ready.
Buckled in. So this story comes from r/Am I the A-ho? Am I the a-ho for punishing my family by no longer doing birthdays, holidays, vacations, because my dad screwed me and my wife over?
Oof.
All right. When my wife and I were talking about getting married, my dad said he would give us a down payment for our home. We were thrilled and kept that in mind. We would be able to afford a good starter home with his help, and we scrimped and saved to add to it. Except apparently he meant a sum of money good for a down payment for a house near us, where the cost of living is low. He did not ever mean a down payment for a home in Colorado, where my wife and I have lived since we were in college. He said he thought I would be smart enough to realize that we'd need to move somewhere with a lower cost of living than Colorado. He keeps saying, move to a cheaper city. Our lives are here, our friends, our jobs, our hobbies. You can't exactly leave your house and be up on top of a 14,000 feet peak in 6 hours where my family is. I told him that we had never talked about moving back there, and we never would, that we would rather be stuck renting for a while longer than be stuck somewhere we didn't want to be. And the move to a cheaper city wouldn't work for us. He said, so be it, and gave us the amount, and that was that. I expressed gratitude and thanked him for the money. It is still towards the goal. Well, because of this shift in our finances, we have had to make a lot of changes to save up the rest of the money. We have had to cut out vacations, birthday gifts, holidays, etc. We won't be traveling home for a few years. At our current rate, we should have an okay down payment by the end of next year, 2025. My dad confronted us about this because we won't come for a summer break trip and told me that I was being selfish, entitled brat because I hadn't gotten my way, that I was essentially punishing the rest of the family because we assumed what his gift would be. I told him that I was grateful for the amount he gave us, but that it means we do need to buckle down and save every penny if we want to be able to afford a house anytime soon. Even townhouses around us are easily over $400K, and that's for the sketchy ones. But is my dad right? Am I the a-ho? Edit to add, frequently asked questions. There was no amount formally discussed. He said a down payment and that was that. For my siblings, he paid for college. He paid cash in full for my sister's house. It was $317,000. He did not pay for my college. They are invited to come here anytime, but believe it should be me to go there because I am the one who moved. No, we do not go out to eat, avocado toast, Starbucks, cable, etc., etc. So do you think that OP is the a-ho? Hey guys, have you subscribed to us yet? If you haven't already, please click that subscribe button below. Thank you.
See, the circumstances alone, no, like, okay, you can choose like whatever fits in your budget. Like, I don't think he's the a-hole for choosing not to participate in certain activities that his family does. Because if it's out of his budget, it's out of his budget because he's saving. That's fine. But for some weird reason, the manner in which he's talking about it makes me think that he is an a-hole and how he's approaching it.
So on paper, it feels like OP is not the a-ho, right? But why does it feel like OP is ungrateful for the amount that the dad gave him?
Yeah, like I would never say that someone screwed me over because they gave me a sum of money. And I'm not sure if it's the way he's phrasing it, but it seems weird that he's blaming, somehow it feels like he's blaming his dad for not giving him the amount he expected.
Right, because he said there was no amount formally discussed, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's some entitlement there. But is it justified entitlement, if that's a thing? Because the dad did pay for his siblings' things, like tuition and like a $300K down payment on their house.
See, that's where I was a little bit like, not to say he's still entitled to any money from his parents or anything, but if the dad was like, okay, like I'll give you money for a down payment, and you see that he's, done all this financial help to your siblings, if your relationship's that close, I feel like it's not weird for him to assume the amount would be around this X amount of range, but he's an a-hole for bringing it up and then pushing it onto his dad and being like, oh no, like not this down payment. I want one for like where I live in this expensive area.
It kind of sounds like OP is blaming their dad. Like, because of you, the whole entire trajectory of our future has changed.
Because of you. I don't know why that song pops in my mind.
I mean, it's true. The family can visit OP though. OP just isn't going to spend the money to visit them.
Now, I wonder if it's because of how OP's phrasing it. Because from the way he's writing this post, is he saying like, oh, Dad, I can't come for Christmas. Or I can't come for so-and-so's birthday because, wife and I, we're scrimping because remember that down payment you didn't get us?
Yeah.
Because it almost feels like, are you saying that? Is that why?
Do you think it's unfair, though, that it sounds like maybe the parents gave OP siblings more? It's kind of unfair. And I don't know what the parents' reasoning for that difference is. Like maybe different times, like they were better off before. But like I kind of sympathize, but honestly, I never got a handout like that. So I don't know.
Well, see, I think you hit it on the nose in a sense, or hit it on the nail, hit it on the nose.
Something like it on something.
We hit on something here.
Yeah.
But I think you're exactly right. It's a handout. I think he wasn't the a-hole for, having certain expectations seeing the parents. And I think it's unfair, right? The treatment looks unfair, at least from our perspective here at third party. But he's still not entitled to the handout.
Yeah.
So I guess in the end, the other thing here is, oh, wait, no, I scratched that. He is the a-hole. Because why would you not, if someone's going to promise you money and you're going to build a whole financial plan around it, why wouldn't you clarify?
That's true. They could have asked.
Because it seems like this was must have been a long time coming since he said, oh, we saved for it. We planned around this whole handout, this whole money. And you never asked how much it would be.
That's true.
So I feel he's the a-hole for banking his entire plan and then basically blaming
I think
his dad.
there was a disconnect in that plan, right? Like they probably should have asked I mean, honestly, when you're making a plan, you probably know what amount roughly you need for a down payment in your area. Yeah. So I think at that point you could probably talk to your parents so what is the amount you're planning to give us?
Yeah.
Because we have this plan. Can we do you think we can make it with
right.
I feel like there was a whole conversation that didn't happen that needed to happen.
I feel like he must have had it in his head down payment equals where I live, which I'm like, if someone's giving you money, I doubt that most of the time they're not going to look up where you live in your area.
Well,
and the down
what do you
payment.
think about the parents suggesting to OP that they should move back to a lower cost of living area?
I think it's just that a suggestion OP can take or OP could choose not to.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't think the family should be resentful if OP's deciding not to shoulder the cost.
Do you think they are resentful?
I think so, probably. Because especially if it feels like, oh, well, everyone else lives here. Why did you choose to move away? I feel like some families might take it an offense. Oh, well, you have all of us here. Why on earth would you want to leave this area?
Personal anecdote, my mom did not take it well when I moved out. And I was a full-grown adult with a full-time job. But I feel like it might be a sense of abandonment of the family. Yeah. So maybe that's what OP's family is feeling. Oh, you left us.
Yeah, it could be.
And maybe they do kind of guilt trip OP from time to time. You should come back to us because you left us. Don't you care about us? I wonder if that's a regular thing.
And then the other thing is, I feel like the expectation should go both ways, right? I know convenience-wise, most of the time, it makes more sense for OP to go to them than like a bunch of people going to OP only.
Yeah.
But I mean, once in a while, it would be nice if they had, kind of returned the gesture and just visit him at least once.
I feel like if you're saving and scrimping that much, I think you can add to your financial plan to visit family.
I mean, he could.
Yeah.
But if his goal is so aggressive, like we don't know how aggressive this so-called scrimping is.
Yeah.
And maybe the comments asked something about it because of the edit.
Well, let's see what the comments say. Comment says, the problem is the dad said a down payment on a house. That is essentially meaningless and subject to interpretation. Is that 10%, 20%? Also, where is that house? My kids bought houses the same year, one on the West Coast and the other in the Midwest. The kid in the Midwest bought twice the house for half the price. The father said a down payment, and the OP looked at the houses he liked and imagined a number. The father looked at the houses the father liked and came up with a much lower number. They didn't communicate, so they're both pissed. Use your words, people.
Yeah.
Communication.
I feel like that's your tagline.
Communication. Let's look at another comment. Oh, someone's calling it out. You're the a-hole for framing it as your dad screwing you over. He offered you a down payment for a home. You assumed it would be a certain amount. It wasn't, but he still gave you a generous gift. And now you describe that generous gift as screwing you over. Also, while you're under no obligation to go on family trips, to cut out any visits to them for a few years after your dad gave you this generous gift, because it wasn't as much as you were expecting, sends a message, whether you mean it to or not. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's
like something unsaid.
The dad just gave you like a lump sum of money and then you're like, all right, thank you. And I'm not going to see you for the next few years because it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
That does send a message.
It's kind of weird too because I would never have a conversation where parent or anybody's giving me a lump sum, which is already like, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very generous gift. And then I would even bring up, the fact that, oh, well, this isn't enough for a down payment. Like, I would never say that.
It's kind of awkward to talk about that, right?
But clearly OP did if the dad is referencing it.
Well, that's our first awkward social interaction. I do have more awkwardness for you.
Oh gosh, bring on the cringe. The secondhand, embarrassment.
Okay, so this is of a different note. So this one, I think you might like, and you'll see why.
That's either a really good story or a really tragic one.
All right, so this is coming from r/am I the a-hole?
Mm-hmm.
Am I the a-hole for making a nice big meal spread for myself but not my husband? Can you see why I think you might like the story?
I was like, ooh, big meal spread, yes. And then you're like, not the husband though. And I'm like, what do you do?
So I'm very big into cooking and trying new cuisines. My husband, on the other hand, is not. I especially love a lot of Korean food, so I decided I'd make a Korean meal spread with a wide variety of banchans. And for those of you that might not know, banchans are like, when you go to a Korean restaurant, you'll get a lot of these side dishes that come kind of like appetizers before the main meal. And you can eat that with rice or whatever. They're just little plates of kimchi or potatoes or sausages, just like
edamame and stuff, right?
Yeah. Just a mixture of little things that you'll get before whatever you ordered.
That's good. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's what OP made. Now my husband has at the very least said he likes kimchi before, and he also likes the bulgogi I made before, which is marinated beef. So I figured already we're only one paragraph in. So I figured he could at least eat some of it if he was hungry and didn't want to find his own food. He didn't seem to see it the same way though. He saw my big spread of dishes and said, "Ew, that looks gross." Rude.
Yeah.
I told him he should at least try some of it because I think he'd like several of the things I made. He absolutely did not want to and asked what he was going to have for lunch. So I said, well, you can choose some of the dishes I made, or I'm not sure, you'll have to figure out something. Maybe you can make some chicken to put over the rice. He said the rice looked weird and he didn't want that rice. It was purple rice, which tastes the same as white rice to me. So I just told him, I don't know, you'll have to find something. Of course, he got mad because I put a ton of time and effort into making this big meal spread, but wouldn't make him anything he likes to eat. But I didn't want to have to cook more after making all this. I just wanted to sit down and enjoy my food. When I showed my mother the spread, she said it looks nice, but will your husband eat that? I told her no, he wouldn't try any and was mad I wouldn't make him something else. She actually agreed though that it was wrong of me to make all of that and nothing especially for him, since I knew he's not very adventurous and wouldn't want anything from it. So now I'm wondering, am I the a-hole? A lot of dishes weren't too out there. I really think he'd like them if he'd just try one. That's a whole scenario. Like, OP made a lot of food, it sounds like.
Yeah.
But
oh my gosh, it got me so hungry.
Husband is not willing to try it.
I'm conflicted with this one. Because, okay, on one side, I feel like she worked on like this whole platter, like this whole like spread.
Mm-hmm.
It's something she worked on, she enjoys doing. And at the very least, if you're not into the food, you don't have to say, ew.
Yeah.
You know, like the reaction alone is kind of screams a little bit immature, a little bit childish.
It's very childish.
You could have just said, oh, this looks nice. Like, I don't know if I'm comfortable trying it though. Like, I just think the phrasing of things, the communication could have been better here and kinder. Like, that was what was lacking, the kindness.
I am just in disbelief because it's a grown married man. And it's lunch. It's not dinner. I feel like lunch and dinner have different weights to them. Like, if you don't like what your wife made for lunch, you can easily find your own lunch. And it's not like you're left with nothing to eat. He's just choosing not to eat it.
He could make himself something, which is,
That's
I don't know if that's
OP
novel.
OP said he can make some chicken and put it over the rice. And he's like, oh, I don't like that rice.
I mean, it doesn't take that
Then
long
make
to make
your own rice.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like, just like 15, 20 minutes tops, 20 minutes tops.
Like, I don't know. I feel like it's one meal. It doesn't have that much weight to it for both like the mom and the husband to kind of come at OP about it.
I wouldn't wait. Does OP say, did the mom chime in because OP asked, or like did the mom bring it up? Like, do we know?
So OP showed her mother the spread and she said looks good, but will your husband eat that?
Oh, okay. So mom kind of asked. So OP's husband also has a history of being probably more picky or more selective.
Picky, yeah. But honestly, if you're not the cook, I don't think you have like the right to be picky unless there's like an allergy or something like that. But other than that, like, I don't know.
See, okay. So I see it kind of one way, which is, you know, husband could have just gone and cooked, which is true. But I know from a kind of like relationship standpoint, sometimes you can feel excluded if the couple shares meals time.
Kind of like you didn't think about me.
Yeah, like why didn't you consider me type of thing. Like I'd be a little sad if my partner didn't.
OP did consider her husband. She's like, oh, I think he'll like some of these things if he would at least try it. So it's not like she completely, you know,
but it was a guess.
Disregarded him.
Yeah, I agree with you, but it was still a guess. And I'm not saying that OP's a-hole. I don't think OP's actions are enough to even warrant she's the a-hole. I don't think so. But I think the situation could have been mitigated if
he would cook for himself.
Yeah, if either he cooks for himself or OP like spent more time to kind of do something for him.
Should have had a side of PB&J for the picky eater.
Because here's the thing, I'm a picky eater. I don't like chocolate, guys. Well, I've been called picky because I don't like chocolate and I'm not a big fan of spicy food.
And
what?
Some veggies.
Certain veggies. Okay, some gourd-like veggies I'm not a big fan of. But I've been in plenty of situations where someone made me food, right? And they didn't know like what my food preferences were. Or even the ones that did know, like my family or my mom, right? Will cook something and sometimes it has veggies because everyone else likes it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna then like be like, ew, ick. Like I still eat it. Like if it's like
I think you kind of work around it.
Or I work around it.
Or eat the parts that you like. Which OP said that her husband could have eaten some of the things that he might like. I think it's telling that he wouldn't even try it.
Yeah. Here's the thing too. I'm like, even if you're a picky eater, your partner made this.
Yeah. And honestly, like he says, ew, it looks gross, right? But banchan's like, It's a whole spread of colorful dishes. I don't think it would look gross. I think it looks great.
And if he likes kimchi, I mean, he might find similar flavors in those sets of dishes if he just
I'll
tries.
tell you, out of all the banchan things that I've had, I don't like kimchi. So if he likes kimchi, I feel like he would like other stuff. Like they have like these sweet potatoes and like sausages, like.
Which one have you been
and
getting?
Potato salads.
I just get the basic like seaweed,
no,
kimchi,
they have like
and
these
edamame.
potato salads with apples in them. And you would think it doesn't work, but it's so good.
I've never had that. That sounds good.
I'm hungry now.
Oh my goodness. Oh, this was a mistake to read the story.
Let's get into the comments before our stomachs start growling. So here's a comment that OP replies to. Comment says, not the a-hole. Your husband wants to be a picky eater. He can make his own food. You didn't tell him he can't eat what you made. He's making that choice. I'm guessing you've made many meals catering to his preferences. Sounds like a child.
Yeah. Oh, so I wonder if that's part of it too. He's used to having OP cook for him constantly or like always like having something for him. So now he's like, yeah, I know what you said, but I thought you still were going to make something for me anyway.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
I think OP just needs to have like sliced bread on hand for him.
That's so sad. It's like, here's your toast.
Yeah. OP replies, yes, I very rarely make meals I really like because I know he won't try them. His preferred meals are things I don't particularly care for and find boring, mostly meat and starch-based with light seasoning, while I prefer to have a wide variety of veggies and spices. So he doesn't like his vegetables, it sounds like.
I mean, I can relate to that struggle, but at the same time, you gotta work with your partner here. You can't just be like throwing a tantrum every single time.
Another comment says, info, is your husband incapacitated to some degree where he is physically unable to make any meals on his own? And OP says, no, he just refuses to make anything because he doesn't want to / like to.
Mood. So I guess he's gonna starve then.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe like DoorDash, Uber Eats. Although, that's not financially responsible. I'm hearing the
screams in the background like Caleb Hammer financial audit screams. How dare you?
Okay, so I think the whole like slice of bread, like always have bread on hand and maybe like peanut butter and jelly for those times he won't touch the food.
He could practice meal prepping. Like just in the off chance, like freeze a bunch of like, I don't know, chicken or rice if that's his thing.
That's true.
And then if on the off chance that day OP has something he doesn't like, I guess pulls out that container of chicken and rice.
Yeah. Or like have like, I don't know, pre-frozen food, like pre-made frozen food. Like he can just toss in the air fryer or oven or whatever.
You know,
he's kind of had to like prep for his own picky days or something.
You know what's funny what you're saying? So my mom has a saying, right?
Oh no.
She goes like, it's in Vietnamese, but I'll translate it to English. It's not going to sound as nice, but basically the saying is, if you're hungry, you're going to have to roll out of bed and roll into the kitchen yourself. And I'm like, this is it. Because I am a picky eater and I also don't like to cook at all. But I mean, you know how much I cook. Like I cook every meal. So I'm like, sucks to suck, buddy.
You just do it.
Time to roll into that kitchen.
Yeah. Like I really don't like cooking mostly because of the prep work and the cleanup. Like the putting it together and eating part I can do, but the prep and cleanup.
I volunteer for that part. Just not the
all right, one last comment that OP replies to, not the a-hole. You went to a lot of trouble to cook a feast, taking care to make sure that there was something that might appeal to your husband. It's not your fault he's a picky eater. I'm a very picky eater myself. He owes you an apology for being so rude. And OP replies, I really wanted him to at least try something. At the very least, I know he'd like the potatoes and rice and kimchi and dumpling soup if he gave them a taste. Who doesn't like potatoes and rice and dumplings? I don't like kimchi, but, you know, he likes kimchi.
See, that's weird to me because, okay, as a fellow picky eater here, seems there's a community of that here. Although I'm picky, like, you have to try the food to be picky in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Like, how can you dismiss
Especially
it based
if
on
you're
looks?
not going to cook your own food.
Yeah.
You can't really sit around and say, like, I have nothing to eat when there's, like, all this
Plenty,
food in front of you.
A platter, yeah.
What do you think Reddit's overall vote was?
Not the a-hole. OP is not the a-hole. And husband does, owe her an apology.
Yes. Yeah. So Reddit
Yeah.
says that OP is not the a-hole and husband is the a-hole in this scenario. Are you ready for our next social scenario?
Yes. I feel like we need a drum roll. Wait. I
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
don't know why we had a tune to the drum roll.
This is from r/Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for excluding my daughter's, quote, best friend from her birthday party? My 36 female daughter's 13 female birthday was last weekend. There's this trampoline park in town that offers sleepover parties where the kids could play for a few hours, watch a movie, and have a sleepover on the trampolines. Her school is very small, so there are only 20 students in her entire year. Wow, that is small.
That is tiny.
20 for the year?
Like a small town vibe type of thing.
Mm-hmm. When we were booking the event, she said to only book 19 places. I asked if she was sure she wasn't missing out someone, but she assured me there were only 19 kids in her class and I was just misremembering. Fast forward to her birthday, and this girl, Camilla, shows up with an entire box full of gifts: teddy bears, perfume, candles, nail polish, flowers, chocolates, etc.
Oh no! Oh, I feel the train crash just happening.
I remembered picking up my daughter from school at the beginning of the school year and seeing her chatting and being very friendly with Camilla. So I assumed they were quite good friends. When Camilla went up to hug my daughter and wish her a happy birthday, she lightly pushed her away and told Camilla she couldn't attend as we forgot to book her place. I apologized to Camilla and her mother and offered to talk to the people in charge and pay for her place, but my daughter insisted that Camilla couldn't come. Camilla was very distraught over this and started sobbing. This is so sad.
Wait, so, Mom was supposed to book 20, but she didn't know because daughter said there's only 19.
Mm-hmm. And mom was like, are you sure you're not missing anyone? And daughter said, yes.
And then now Camilla is not friends with her daughter anymore because they're fighting over the situation.
Let's see. I pulled my daughter aside and asked her why Camilla couldn't join. So here we go. Even though they used to be friendly and she'd invite every other student in her year. She said that Camilla was just really weird, obsessive, and creepy, and she didn't want to be friends with her anymore. I asked her if Camilla was bullying her, and she said no. She said she just didn't want to be around Camilla. Camilla's mother had found out about the party through another parent, and Camilla decided to surprise my daughter knowing she hadn't been given an invite. Oh, that is so sad. I returned the gifts to Camilla, apologized again, and gently told her that there weren't enough spaces. Her mother started screaming at me, telling me that I was a grown adult woman bullying a preteen girl. I told her that it was my daughter's birthday party. She could invite whoever she wanted. She accused me of raising my daughter to be a bully and that she couldn't just invite the entire class and exclude one girl. She claimed that Camilla was my daughter's best friend and she had the right to be invited. I told her that my daughter's a teenager, not a 5-year-old. She can't be forced to invite the entire class just to be nice. I said I didn't want to raise a doormat. I didn't want to teach her to value the feelings of others at the expense of her own. If my daughter feels uncomfortable around someone, then I prioritize her well-being over that of a stranger's. Camilla's mother is now talking to the teachers to punish my daughter for bullying. I've tried explaining to her that my daughter was simply setting her boundaries. She shouldn't have to face consequences for that. Camilla's mother said that I was an evil bee who took joy in bullying little girls. Am I the a-hole? That is a complicated situation. Oh, okay. What would you do if you were OP? Like you're the mom of the daughter who's having the birthday party.
Okay, so before I answer, was the friendship broken already by the time the invite happened? Like, was it an accident that OP's daughter said, oh no, we're only buying 19, not 20?
It sounds like it's on purpose.
So it was intentional.
Yeah. Because she just decided that Camilla was too weird
randomly
to be friends with.
See, I think OP is the a-hole. Not because of bullying the little girl per se. Ooh, mocked the mic. I think that OP's an a-hole for being negligent. Because typically, okay, if her daughter is 13, I'll be honest, yes, she's a teenager, but she's still a kid. And if all of a sudden she and Camila were best friends and then the next day they're like, no, she's not invited to my birthday party. It feels like, is this like a little spat, or did Camila actually do something that, cause
Like,
Opie's
you think
daughter to be
OP should have
threatened?
investigated?
Yeah, I think Opie should have looked into it more because socially as a kid, I think if everyone's invited to something except one person,
Yeah.
you are playing into isolating the child as an adult. Like, I see it from that perspective, but I also don't think that OP's kid should be forced to invite
Yeah, so I'm
people
saying,
she
like,
doesn't like.
what would you do if you were the parent who had to make the call?
I would have investigated. And I'll be honest, if it was just a little kid spat, like it was something like dumb, like, I don't know. They're fighting over, like, what do kids fight over?
They're 13. They're not like kids.
I know, but 13 is still like, I mean, I remember when my sister was 13, guys? So I'm just like, you're still a baby to me. I mean, you're not a toddler, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they have their own opinions, but it's like, what type of serious fights are you honestly having at 13 that you're like best friends one day and the next day you're like, don't talk to me ever again. You're weird.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that Camilla's mom said they are best friends, because from what, like, the whole treatment that we're seeing, it doesn't seem like they're best friends.
It seems one-sided.
Though they do say that you can only hate someone that you love, which it's kind of like weird, but I think that the closer you were to someone, and if they wrong you in some way,
Yeah, you'll feel.
Yeah, you
some
feel
sort
it
of-
more, so it kind of develops that hate. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they did have a spat.
Maybe that's what I'm saying. I'm wondering, like, to single just her out, because in a class of 20 kids, is Opie's daughter really BFFs with every single one? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
But the fact that she singled out just one and it happens to be Camila, I'm thinking something happened. And I think if I were in OP's position, I would have investigated, because this sounds weird. Like, the whole situation sounds bizarre.
I think it's interesting that Camilla, like, brought, it seems like a huge gift for a 13-year-old.
Huge. Yeah.
Right? To bring like it sounds like a whole gift basket of assorted goods.
Mhm.
And it seemed like Camilla approached OP's daughter very friendly, like very
Yeah, they were fine,
enthusiastically, like, hug, congrats, happy birthday, here's a giant gift. I wonder why Camilla thinks that was okay and OP's daughter didn't think it was
Right.
okay. Like, what happened between them?
Yeah. It almost, I'll be honest, it almost feels like overkill for a normal birthday present. Like, you're bringing all of this.
Maybe she was trying to make up
Yeah.
for whatever happened. But honestly, if I was the OP, I think I would have made room for Camilla. I don't think it's that hard. Like, if you're going to a place that accommodates 19 kids, right? I think you might only have to pay like an extra fee to add one more kid. Like, I'm pretty sure these spaces are used to like having different numbers of people show up and to like the invite amount. I don't think it would have been that hard to include Camilla. But do you think that, with that said, like, should OP's daughter have control over who's at her birthday party?
That's what I'm saying. I don't even think it's the logistics of it. That's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Like, I think the daughter should have control, but that's where I'm saying that OP as the adult should have intervened, knowing the social implications for the other girl as well. Like, yeah, you prioritize your kid. I totally get it. But where it seems a little bit the situation, there's something weird. This is not like an everyday occurrence where she singles out one kid and she doesn't really give you a reason other than we're not friends.
But this is happening on the day of her birthday party, right? So,
Yeah.
like, would you be talking to your daughter right now?
Well, see, I would have double checked, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust kids to send out
But, like,
invitations
say
either.
you didn't. So, right now,
Yeah.
like, what would you have done? Would you have included Camilla, or would you have done what OP did?
I'll be honest, I would have pulled my daughter aside real quick to have a conversation.
Yeah.
I would have been like, hey, like, I might be like, okay, can you hold a moment? Let me talk to my daughter real quick to get to the
Mhm.
bottom of it. Because I feel like, okay, birthday or not, this seems like a big enough situation that everyone's kind of getting heated. The parents are getting involved.
Yeah.
Like, to
and
spend a
now
few
the
minutes to know.
school is getting involved.
Which is weird.
Is this bullying, do you think?
Depends. Because if OP's daughter did it as more of like I don't want to say power move because she's 13, but more of a move as like, oh, I'm going to invite everyone but you
Yeah.
to make a point. Like, that's devastating to a kid. I feel like 13-year-old teen.
Honestly, I feel like Camilla's mother might also be at fault here. She drove Camilla here knowing that they didn't get an invite.
That's weird.
If I was Camilla's mom, I would have taken Camilla out on like a day out. So she doesn't feel like she's missing out on anything. I feel like both parents failed them.
I agree. I think Camilla's mom, if she wanted to really stand up for her kid, which I can see, like, you know, you feel hurt because your kid is excluded, I would have reached out to the mom, like OP here, separately to say, hey, you know, I'm hearing that our daughters are best friends, but she's not invited. She's on this. Like, can you connect with me and, you know, let's figure out what's wrong.
And then now Camilla's mom is reaching out to the school. Do you think she's taking it too far? Like, I'm having trouble. I get both sides, but I also don't agree with both sides. Yeah. Right?
It's like I can see their perspective as a mother, but I can't be like, oh, yeah, I'm on board.
I get OP's mom, or I get OP wants to protect her daughter's, like, I guess, autonomy over her, like, social circle.
Yeah, which is fair, but...
But you also want to teach that you shouldn't exclude people, at least unnecessarily.
Right. Like, I think it's almost like the consequences of your actions, too. Because for all we know, maybe OP's kid literally had a spat and it'll blow over in a week or two. And we don't know that, right?
Right.
But to an event, like, to bring that kind of fight between two kids or two teens or two people even, and then bring it and blow it up to the sense now she's bringing everyone into it because everyone's invited except you. And now the school's intervening. I don't think the school intervention is helping. I think it makes it worse.
I think the school intervention is probably more embarrassing for the two girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, than if they just, like, maybe the moms should have just brought the girls out to, like, a cafe or a coffee date or whatever and had them talk it out.
Yeah.
And I think to give the present back and be like, no thanks, you're not welcome here. I think OP could have handled it better. Let's get into the comments though, because I'm going around in circles now. So comment says, not the a-hole, almost said no one's an a-hole before I realized that Camilla's mom is 115% an a-hole. This is a hard one for me because I've been in both places. I was the weird kid. I had untreated ADHD and was definitely weird, who everyone strung along to use when I was convenient or to mock when they needed a jester.
Aww.
I genuinely thought these people were my friends. I'm gonna cry. And never caught on that they weren't. I was the one who would see all of these people I thought I was friends with being invited to things in front of me, and I'd never be asked to join. It hurts like hell. I can understand why Camilla would cry and her mom would be pissed, although her mom seems kinda bonkers. I've also been the teen who had someone who followed them around, and no matter how direct I was about not liking her, she would not leave me alone. Even when I begged her to leave me alone, she tried to say I was bullying her and did a ton of stuff that made me extremely uncomfortable. Begged the school to make us locker mates. You can do that.
I didn't know you could do that. That was not a thing in my school.
Begged teachers until they sat us next to each other, wrote notes and put them in my bag, and generally would not leave me alone. Oh,
that's stalking. I'm sorry. That's creepy.
Everyone encouraged me to just go along with it because she didn't have a lot of friends and obviously liked me. See, that's where I kind of I agree with OP in not wanting to raise your kid to be a doormat. There's like a really fine line of like being rude, but also like having your boundary.
Yeah, I wish we knew the perspectives of the teens, like what it was.
Yeah, I think this is more their stories than OP's stories.
Yeah, because if we just look at the mom's actions, okay, we've had our verdict. But with the kids, for all we know, okay, OP's kid could be bullying Camilla. And for all we know, Camilla could be having a one-sided friendship this whole time.
You know, that's like true, because only Camilla's mom is saying that they were best friends.
Yeah, and she's confused. OP's like, are they best friends?
Yeah. Continuing the comment. I didn't entertain it, and it got to the point where I yelled at her in the cafeteria. I was 14, not that it's an excuse for yelling. If she showed up at my birthday party and my mom forced me to have her there, I would have felt extremely betrayed. Your daughter has the right to not want to be around people. She should not be forced to put up with people who make her uncomfortable, and teaching girls especially to embrace people who can't respect boundaries and who make them uncomfortable is really detrimental to them as adults. And yes, going to a party you're not invited to is 100% not respecting boundaries. She's 13, she can choose who does and doesn't come to her birthday. But I tell her that you support her in choosing who she wants to be around, but that she shouldn't lie to you about it. You're her mom. Make sure she knows that she can come to you if someone is making her uncomfortable. She's about to go into the dating world. Make sure she knows you have her back. I think that's when setting boundaries is an important skill to have when you enter dating. And 13 is like, you're heading to high school, you're heading to like...
Yeah, you're kind of finding yourself, kind of. Mm-hmm.
And you're like learning to draw the line when you need to. So, I don't know. So with all that said, what is your verdict? Do you think that OP is the a-hole, being the mom?
I don't think OP is the a-hole, but I think she is negligent and could have done better in this one situation.
Yeah.
Because, again, I still feel like
she should have tried harder.
Yeah, like she should have been, honestly, double checking or try to figure out what's going on. Like, yes, you don't have to invite her to the birthday party, right? But I don't feel like this is a situation where even after the birthday party, you just ignore it. Like, oh yeah, my daughter doesn't like Camilla, move on. Like, why? Why doesn't she like her? Find out why.
Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Is Camilla doing what this commenter experienced?
Right.
Like, is she kind of stalking OP's daughter?
Yeah.
Or pushing the boundaries of what's comfortable and what's okay?
Or is OP's daughter actually singling her out for whatever reason? Yeah.
So I really do think we need the daughter's perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
I think the moms really needed to dig into this one. And I don't think they should be bringing it up with the school unless bullying is happening in the school.
Right.
So I don't know. If you guys know like any updates that happened after we post this, please share it with us in the comments. We would like to know what happens after. So I did mention in the beginning of the episode, we received our first DM.
Yay!
From a listener. And we are going to share it with you now.
So thank you for sending it in.
It makes us so happy. It feels like we're talking with you guys. So this is from our very first write-in on Instagram. We were DM'd the story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to be friends anymore with a fake friend? Yesterday, my BFF told me she wasn't going to party. After that, a friend of mine told me that she was partying with my enemy. And she told me after lots and lots of arguing, she was partying with my enemy after that. I say to her very clearly that she isn't my friend anymore. She apologized a lot, but I never, and I mean never ever, will forgive her. So this is, it's something that we do, like that everybody kind of goes through in friendship. I feel like friendship, it goes in waves, right? Like sometimes you're really close to people and then like sometimes it falls apart, sometimes it keeps growing, like it changes a lot. What would you do if you found out that your friend who promised that they wouldn't go partying was found partying with your enemy?
See, I feel like that's bad. Like on one side, I'm like, okay, you can't control who people decide to be friends with, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it is as a friend, almost like you kind of have your friends back. And typically you don't want to support people that your friends are like, enemy's a pretty strong word. So you must really not like this person. So if there's a kind of like a big beef between you guys, I can see why. Like it's also your freedom to, be mad at this friend. I think that's justified. Now, one thing I'd be wondering is, did this friend intentionally, like what was the intention? Is the friend gonna secretly hang out with this enemy without telling you?
Yeah, like are they ostracizing you behind your back?
Yeah.
I hope that's not the case. I think you should talk to your friend maybe when you guys are more calm and a little bit of time has passed. I know like right now, everyone's kind of really in their emotions. I think that usually tends to happen in the beginning when you find out news like that. Like you start pointing fingers like, oh, like you said, she said, I heard. Yeah. But I think if you value your friend, then you should probably find a moment where you can both like talk about it calmly.
Yeah.
But at least like have one good talk before you decide what to do with your friendship.
But on the other hand, if this is like your one true, I don't know, enemy is a strong word, but maybe someone you really, really don't get along with because of something happened, it's also fair that, this person might not be your friend for going, secretly kind of telling you, oh, I'm not going to party with this person.
I think you need to
And they're
find
still
out
doing
like
it.
what led to them hanging out together without you, right? I think you need to find out like why they're hanging out. Like, are they really good friends and you just didn't know about it? Maybe you need to talk about it. But I feel like if you can, like, just have your emotions in check when you do talk. Because I feel like when you are yelling at each other, it never comes to anything good, right?
Well, I'll say this. If OP here, if you decide that you no longer want to be friends with this person because this betrayal is just, you see this as a big betrayal, that's your freedom to do so as well. Like, you don't have to open this up again to a conversation. But like Sandra said, if you want to be friends, you only really have one choice, and that's to hear them out and see if
communication.
And see after then if there's room for a friendship to still be there. Because that's a big
But
betrayal.
also know, like, you don't have to be friends with anyone, right? Like, you'll meet lots and lots of people throughout your life, and you can choose like who you vibe with, like who you get along with, who you want to keep around and who you don't want to keep around. You don't have to take it personally. Like, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You move on. I feel like friendships and relationships are very similar.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was our story from our first DM. Did you guys enjoy that? If you guys want to share your own personal story, feel free to DM us on Instagram at honeyheartspodcast or leave it in the comments below.
We'd love to hear stories from you guys.
I think it's so fun.
Yeah, I like it.
And that's our story for today. Right?
It felt fast.
It was fast. A lot of like weird social like calls that you have to make. I think there are a lot of like, calls that you make that changes the trajectory of your relationship.
There were some that I felt like, oh, man, I see both sides. So it's hard for me to say yes, no to either side.
Yeah. And sometimes like the person who's the a-hole is not even in the direct story, right? Or is not the one asking. It's just someone else. But what would you do in these social interactions? How would you have handled them? Do you agree with what the OPs did and, like what they thought and, what their justifications were? Let us know in the comments.
And don't forget, if you're listening to us on Spotify, give us 5 stars, guys. But if you're here with us on YouTube, don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button below.
Help us get to 5,000 subscribers. Talk to you later.